Do you have a favorite, whether it's one that you've won or one that you're a fan of, a favorite title belt?
Well, it's weird because certain things mean certain things to me. The big WCW World Heavyweight Championship, Ric Flair belt that I call it most of the time. I won that one, but that's unreal because one, they told me I would never be world champion, and then I was. No big deal. Whatever, it's fine. But it was like I looked up to Ric Flair, Sting, all these guys that came before me, and at the time, I was traveling with Edge, and I used to ride with him, and I would just learn from him in the car. I'd be learning from him in the ring, and then we had a huge world title match at a Royal Rumble. I forget which year, and everybody knew I was going to lose that match. But the entire time, people were on their feet, not sure halfway through the match. So it was like, because of Edge was so good, it made it seem like they didn't know what was going to happen at the end. So I was really proud of that match. So that's the title that I love the most, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the super iconic title. Yes. Now, you mentioned, which I saw the news. Anybody here listen to Busted Open? I mean, it's amazing. Bully is amazing. Did you listen before you?
I don't watch wrestling or listen to it, so I don't. Yeah, no. I famously say that all the time, and of course, I already know Bully and Tommy and Mickey, and even Mark. Right. I text with those guys and joke around with them anyway, so it'll be very similar to what
right.
they're doing on the air. Except they know much more about wrestling, but at least I have like an outsider's insight. I'm still in the game. You know.
So you're going to be on Fridays?
So far, I'm finding out. So yesterday we did one, and then I think we're doing next Friday too. And we happen to be in Philadelphia next Friday for the TNA tapings. So I may go into studio in New York and do it there.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Cool.
How did that come about? Did your people reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? Your people.
My people. So it's me texting from my mom's phone. And they got a hold of me several months ago and said, we really think we could value your input. You'd have a nice voice that's different than what we have. And also, most of the crew, so you'd seamlessly fit right in. And hopefully that's the case. But I said, yeah, sure. I think I'm working a bunch on Fridays and Saturdays, but we'll work around it. They go, we'll send you the equipment. We'll make it happen. If you're on the road, you do it in a hotel. If you're at home, you do it at home. I was like, all right, let's do it.
We've had Mark Henry here at GalaxyCon, and he has done the show from his hotel and then popped over and went to his table. So it's perfectly possible.
It's actually great. When you have 5 jobs and you can do 2 or 3 of them in one place, is pretty great. I did the same thing. I was up at 7. Well, I had to be up yesterday. Right. Got my workout in, tried to piece together a microphone into an iPad that I didn't know what I was doing. And then we did the show for 3 hours. I got out of there, grabbed my stuff, walked over here, and sat down at the table and was like, all right, let's go.
I'm a huge, I listen every single day to Busted Open. So I'm glad that you're going to be on there. Now, part of that, as I'm sure Tommy and Bully and Mark have told you, is watching the product and keeping up with the product. Is that going to be something that's new, different and new to you?
Absolutely. But also, I get most of my news from Twitter or X. So when I'm scrolling for politics and business news, 2/3 of the For You on timeline is just what's happening on Raw that day, what's happening on Dynamite that day.
And clips, which is the most important part.
And I go, that's the important part. I go, big things going, big, huge stories that are going to happen or something big that happened that night. I'll make sure to see, but I will. I've been checking out, man, for 3-4 months now. I took my no more watching wrestling because I was trying to get ready to go to Japan, and I was like trying to see who I'd be in the ring with, who I'd look up to, who would be the best. And now I've been watching wrestling. But if anyone asks, I don't touch that stuff.
Now you mentioned getting up and getting your workout in, and you have always been in immaculate shape. How difficult is that to do while being on the road for so long and trying to eat somewhat healthy as opposed to like, oh, well, the only thing that's open right now is McDonald's,
McDonald's 24/7 kind of helped out for a while, but sadly the breakfast was 24 hours too, so that was bad. McGriddles are a lot more calories than you think. But
worth it.
Always worth it. For years, I don't know, the early 2000s, when you're on the road, there's a 24-hour McDonald's, or you go to a 7-Eleven and hope to get like a muscle milk in there and a hot dog or something. But Now, there's so many options. There's really healthy options. You can go to Denny's 24 hours,
Denny's,
and you can
yes.
have a super healthy. I'm trying to think of what I get there. Avocado on the side, 8 eggs over easy, rye toast, and I think they have some like nerdy healthy pancakes and something else. And you can eat healthy stuff anywhere if you want to, but also sometimes driving in a car at 2 a.m. I'll have 3 or 4 McDoubles and just crush them, and that happens.
There's people in the audience right now going, 7-Eleven and McGriddles, I have the same diet as Nick.
Do you like Mountain Dew? Yes, I do. Diet Mountain Dew, no big deal.
You talked about traveling. Do you have a favorite traveling partner?
For the longest time, I traveled with Zack Ryder, who's Matt Cardona now, and I don't know why, because we are the exact opposite. He's a young kid. He collects action figures. He's really hip on the scene of getting autographs, making titles, doing a bunch of different things, and I like reading the newspaper and not talking. So I don't know how this works out, but for some reason we've formed a friendship for the last 20 years, and somehow it still works out. You know, he likes going to Disney, and I like dropping kids off at Disneyland.
One thing I do want to talk about, and is this: has anybody picked this up? Has anybody picked this up on the floor at the Headlock Comics booth? You have a little story in there. Now, I have, through this story, been made aware of your fandom for Trauma.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Yes.
So what sparked your fandom for Lloyd Kaufman and Trauma films?
Uncle Lloyd, I'm a big fan. Anybody know Trauma movies? You guys know, like the Toxic Avenger? Yeah. All those want to know? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. They do tons of... I would say they still make them now, but 80s, early 90s, they did so many like guerrilla shooting. Like, we don't have the credentials to do this. We don't have a pass to do this. And they just run and film something. Low budget movies and monster movies and fun and a bunch of Class of Nukem High. You guys know what that like? Okay, yeah.
Romeo and Juliet, I believe.
Romeo and Juliet, yeah. It's good. It's great. It's very Joe Bob's Drive-In monster movies, and they're always fun. But the first time I ever saw one was on beta. Anybody know what that is? 2 of you old enough to know what beta is? All right, great. But my uncle, he goes, I got this pretty cool movie, Toxic Avenger. I watched it, and it was the first time I saw a lady in a bikini. And she removed it, and so I tried to pause it at the right time, but it's beta, so it was just all distorted, and you can't really tell. It's like when you're trying to find like the pay-per-view channels on the old TVs, and you see a blurry thing, you're like, did I just see a... Okay. That's as close as I get, so I remember that, but then I was like, well, I might as well watch the movie. And the movie was really good, and I love that stuff, so campy horror stuff that's fun. I watch one of those movies, whether it's on Tubi or Joe Bob's Drive-In or Svengoolie. I'll watch those things once, twice, 5 times a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So you incorporated that into this story here.
Yes. Well, I don't want to take credit for that, but I appreciate that my love for Trauma movies and the Toxic Avenger got pushed into a story that I'm a part of. That's pretty awesome. And yeah, the Headlock Comics guys, Mike Kingston does so much cool stuff. He's at the booth right next to me out there on the floor. For some reason, we're not with all the wrestlers. So it's like all the wrestlers. And then like over here, it's some Rick and Morty people and me and Headlock Comics. And so it's great. Yeah.
I mean, but that's the convention world, right?
Yes,
You're like,
of course.
Here's I guess I'm on the road with all the Adult Swim people.
Yeah, hey, that's fine by me. I'm up all night. I watch that stuff.
So let me ask you, now that you are doing conventions, now obviously through the years, the WWE has had a lot of celebrity guests, and you've done television, and so you've met people. But doing these shows, doing these conventions, have there been people that you've met, that you've seen, that you kind of fanboyed at, that you either maybe you couldn't speak, you're like, that's so and so, or maybe you spoke too much and put your foot in your mouth?
Well, so I'll never speak too much, no way, unless you guys are asking for it. But no, I try and play it cool because everybody has a celebrity or a cool person that they look up to or they don't want to play cool about. But also, I'll go over the top because I'm in LA a lot and everybody tries to downplay if somebody's cool or like a fan and it's like they're too cool. I'm like, no, are you kidding me? No, he's the voice of Archer. Are you kidding me? Like, you don't know. So I love that stuff. And it was several years ago. I want to say Archer, which is my favorite cartoon, I think. Does anybody know what that is? Okay, awesome. Yeah.
I think you're in the right place for that.
Okay, good. Yeah, for once I have something that I can relate it to comic books and conventions. But I saw the entire cast, and I was such a fan. And it just, I loved seeing them. And it was San Diego Comic-Con 11 years ago or something, and I got to meet the entire cast. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, they're like, my friend's like, what is this? And I'm like, no, you don't understand, it's a cartoon. They're like, oh, it's a cartoon. I'm like, no, it's for grown-ups. It's really funny. You should check it out. Like, and they're like, that'll never last. I think they did like 18 seasons or something, whatever. But yeah, they just finished this year. It's the last one. But that kind of stuff, like, and no joke, the Adult Swim guys, Frylock and Master Shake, you're like, that's like, I'm just bumped into these guys. Like, that's been my 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. slot since college, watching that stuff. So I love that.
That's fantastic. What is your fandom? Is that type of show, that type of cartoon?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Adult Swim cartoons, Archer, Rick and Morty's great. Anything, Amy Sedaris, all her shows. Strangers with Candy. You guys ever see that show?
Oh yes, Amy. Oh,
I think that's the best show of all time. Some people may not know it, but if you have Paramount, they have all the Comedy Central stuff on there. So
I love Amy. She's amazing.
Huge fan.
From Strangers. And then she killed it in Mandalorian.
Oh, she kills everything. Yeah. I'm very partial to anything she does, yeah.
As I had mentioned, obviously done TV and stuff, but one show that I do want to talk about was Fox's Junior Chef. And the trash talking that came from these children.
They were ruthless.
Yeah, like there was they had no filter. What was it like being trash talked by children about cooking skills?
It's one thing where it's like you get trash talked by Miz to me on TV, but then I beat him up in the ring and we're even. We're at this thing where they're really, really good chefs and they're 10 years old. They're amazing. And they're just like rolling their eyes at us. And every step of the way, I'm just like, oh, hey, are you sure that's something? She's like, I'm like, my bad. Yeah, I don't like. They were not having. Well, one, they're in a very serious competition, but we didn't let them know till afterwards. Like, this is just a fun day, and this one doesn't count towards their scores. Right. So they're like, hey, no, put that down. No, that like. You don't know the difference between blue cheese and ranch? And I'm like, they're very similar. There's cheese in one. They're like, no, that's not it. I'm like, what? So they were ruthless, but they're so good. But yeah, we were getting trash talked by people and then I don't get to like do it better than them. They crush it, and mine fell apart. And
you can't trash talk a 10-year-old, right?
No, I mean, I can find a way. But I was like, yeah, way to go, you little idiot. I'm going home to my house. What's your deal? Like, no, it's like, but they were so good at cooking and being chef. I'm like, I finally have some downtime the last couple of months where I've been cooking at home and I'm like taking advantage. I'm like, I'm on Instagram looking up recipes. Like, these kids were just crushing it. And it's just to watch them work was like watching an artist paint, but they're like a 10-year-old kid who's like, when they go take a break, the mom's still doing, and like fixing their face and their hair in between. And it's like, you're still a child, but you're calling the shots as a chef to all of us. It's pretty funny.
That's amazing. So we do have time. If you do have questions, feel free to start. Yeah, absolutely. Nice shirt there. Hello.
And it's green too. I thought it was working.
Yeah, it should be working.
Let's see.
Is the mic not? Hello?
I hear noises.
And we are live.
Damn.
Hell yeah. I love your matches with Brody Lee, Luke Harper. Did you have a favorite moment or match working with Luke Harper in WWE?
I mean, my favorite ones are the ones you guys don't really see, are live event ones, and they're the most fun in the world. And with Harper, it was pretty great. We went to his hometown. We're in Rochester, New York, and we're opening the show, Intercontinental title on the line. I don't want to ruin anything, and I was like, hey, can we have Harper win this match tonight? It's a Friday night, and on Saturday we'll switch it back. And like, no, absolutely not. Okay. So I tell him, I go, I'm not kicking out when we're out there, just so you know. He's like, don't you mess this up for me. So I didn't want him to freak out because I thought he was going to like pretend that I kicked out or something. So we had, at the end of the show, I really wanted him to win that match. We're not allowed. I got a little more pull now. Maybe I could do it. But so we have the match, steal the show, tear it down. No big deal. I win, whatever. But it's his hometown. And then afterwards, I go for the handshake. And to let him like, this, you're a hometown guy. He should have won. And he grabs me, pulls me in, drives me down to the ground, and everybody cheers, and he holds the title up. So that's funny. It's this fun moment with his family in Rochester. And then for every year after that, in the locker room, he'd be telling everyone, he was like, yeah, Dolph refused to let me win that match. And then I went to shake his hand, and he spit on me. And then afterwards, he threw something at my wife in the crowd. And so this story is like this 20-minute story. None of it happened. But besides you guys, in the locker room, I was always like, yeah, hey, the kid shouldn't have been there. I don't know what to tell you. It was like the best he made. And every couple of weeks, it would add a few more minutes to the story of like, spit in my wife's face. He threw a chair at my kid. It's like the longest running thing to where, besides you guys here, about 2/3 of anyone in the wrestling business thinks it's real. So I'm going to leave it that way.
That's fantastic.
I love when he ate your super kick and he just gave you the discus.
Hell yeah.
One of my favorite sequences.
That's allowed when you're a beast like him. I like that.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Aaron.
Wait, what's your necklace? Or is that pins?
It's just a bunch of pins.
All right. Any good ones?
Blood Angels, little tiny emblem that's hard to get a hold of now.
All right. There you go.
All right, man. During the planning of matches, figuring out who you work with, is there any one bump you were like, no, I'm not going to take that?
No.
No? Hey, that's...
You guys are better at this than me. A big cage match or maybe a Hell in a Cell, maybe Roman Brock. Does someone remember? Seth and I climb up to the top, then we fall off of it through a table. What's that?
Roman and Braun.
There we go. So, but it was a Hell in a Cell match? Okay, thank you. So I'm afraid of heights.
It's not the heights, it's the falling.
Yeah,
and the sudden
my
stop.
hands are sweating talking about it. So I think they always put me in ladder matches just to mess with me, which is fine. So I got over it eventually, but you think you're like, oh, that'd be cool. We're gonna need you to fall off the cage later. I'm like, wait, what? Like, so I'm like, oh, the cage, whatever. They go, no, Hell in a Cell out to a table. And I go, oh, I don't. I'm like, you think in your head, like, don't worry, in the moment, we'll be fine. But then if you ever think about it, like 16,000 people watching you scale a fence with the holes like this and your feet don't really fit in, you kind of slide down a little bit and then you feel like everyone's watching you. So it seems kind of easy until you're doing it. And then I'm hanging from this cage and I'm looking down. I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to let go. Like, this sucks. I'm scared. And eventually, luckily, I can't remember what we said, but Seth and I looked at each other and went, all right. There we go. And just like threw one more punch and just went. And it was just like, once we landed, I go, thank God it's over. I'm okay. I don't ever want to do that again. But even that, I didn't say no. I said, hell yeah, I'll do it. And then was like, oh, I made a mistake. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the one for me.
Thank you so much. Good question. Hello.
Hey, quick question.
Quick one. No.
I'm done. All right. If just out of curiosity, if you were like Bret Hart and you were dealing with something like the Montreal Screwjob, how would you have handled that? And how would you handle something?
Is the year 2024 or is it the year 97 or whatever? You know what I mean? For the story. Because if it's 2024, we got some social media to have my brother in the crowd filming it, going, hey, look what they did to you. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, either way, I guess the question is, where do you draw the line if the company's going in a direction that you don't think is best for you?
So it's a weird part because if it is back then, you don't know, people in the locker room sometimes don't have your best interests and they're all looking out for each other. Now, the last 15 years or so, it's a team. The company is a team and we're all working together to get something. So even if I felt betrayed or screwed over, which I did like 500 different times, it didn't seem to be something that was going to happen in the middle. Like, hey, we don't know what the finish of your main event to WrestleMania is. Anyway, just go out there. And I'd be like, oh, I don't know what I would do. Something crazy. But I feel like in that situation, I mean, if you have a deal where someone else is your boss and they want to let you go or tell you do this thing or leave, I feel like that's how it goes. If you're your own boss, that's a different story. So If you get screwed over and you get told one thing and something else happens, yeah, I want to throw some TVs around and write AEW with my hands or something. You gotta vent your frustration somehow. Punch Vince in the face, whatever it is. Yeah, that's part of the deal. And I feel like that's what anyone would happen. But say you switch that scenario to 2024. And I feel like I'm getting screwed and I don't know what's going to happen. I got a camera crew following me around, letting them know the deal. Like, hey, just so you know, I'm out of here. This is my last day. I'm going to go out there, pretend I'm smoking a cigarette and lay on my back. And you guys can all film this and go to hell when I leave. Something like that. Not that I planned it out or anything.
All right, so good morning.
Good morning.
You had talked about different traveling partners with Matt Cardona and Edge. What's your favorite road story? Because every wrestler has road stories, and I think us as fans always enjoy these more than anything else.
So all the really juicy ones got to be in the book, but there's some kids here. I don't know how this works, but real simple ones like Zack Ryder became the internet champion by naming himself the internet champion and holding a title. And we would go to Waffle House sometimes, which I love. And a lot of Waffle House crossover, much like Walmart with wrestling fans. And we can laugh, but I go to both frequently, and that's part of the deal. And I love them dearly. So I had Waffle House, and it was Zach and I always hate that, I'd be mad at him because I'm like, hey, you're not really a wrestler. You're Zack Ryder. I'm doing the real stuff. So the waitress is being super friendly to me and very cold to him. And she keeps going, oh, I'm such a fan, whatever. And I'm like, haha, take that, kid. So she's really nice to us over and over. We have breakfast. We pay. On the way out, she's like, excuse me, and walks past him to me. He's like, Zack Ryder, I'm your biggest fan. And I go, you've got to be kidding me. And so I took that $1 tip right back. No, that's one that I can actually. So I ended up. He gave me the internet title from the car, and we took a picture, and I threw up the LI. And as far as that waitress knows, I am Zack Ryder, which is heartbreaking. Champ.
My name is Miles, and first and foremost to say is Kings are born in July 27. Dolph Ziggler. And
that's my birthday, whatever.
Yeah, that's my birthday too, July 27. Anyways, the question to you is, your character Dolph Ziggler has undergone several evolutions over the years. How much input do you have in the development of your character?
When I was Dolph Ziggler a long time ago, not much. But it got to a point where I just started dressing how I wanted and kind of adding a couple lines into promos how I wanted. It was not okay. Kind of got me in trouble a couple times. But at first, very much, it was not my call for anything. And years later, I was like, hey, can I say this? Can I do this? Can I lean this way? And they gave me a little more leeway. As you build a relationship with being able to speak in front of people or be on TV and do all these different things or improvise, they start to give you a little bit more leeway here and there. So eventually I got a bunch of leeway, and I had a promo with Mick Foley, and I was really proud of it. I went off script, but got all the bullet points, and we got to the back, and Mick hugged me, said, that was the best promo you ever cut. I got a text from Jericho going, dude, where's that been? And then I got pulled aside by the boss and told not to talk like that anymore, so I stopped for a few months. So that's part of the deal. That's the thing. But so it just goes to show when you think you're doing what you think your character is, at the end of the day, the boss is booking the show, and then you gotta listen to him or just go to Japan. I don't know.
Thank you so much. By the way, are you defending that 24/7?
24/7. You can say that.
All right. Okay.
I mean, we're laughing, but there's some weaponry on the back, so
Yeah,
I'm not attacking
true.
you in any way, shape, or form.
true.
Yeah, no way.
Hello.
Hello.
Wait, quick. Do you dress like this, or is this a character?
This is a character.
Are you the Tomb Raider?
No, I am not. No, I'm
Dang.
Leon Kennedy.
Pardon?
Leon Kennedy, Resident Evil.
Okay, that's a thing I've heard of.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
So first of all, I just want to say, I feel like it's not. It's a fair opinion to say. Some might say you're one of the greatest sellers of all time. I would say that. That's me. Through your time working on just anything, who would you put up there as one of the best sellers, maybe for you or just what you've witnessed?
It's a great question. I'm always mad that I can't wrestle myself because I wondered in my head you picture like this is how they're going to take it, and nobody takes it like that.
Right.
That's a great question. Do you have any like a short list currently now? Not like
I always thought
Mr. Perfect and stuff.
Mr. Perfect is my go-to. Like,
He's awesome.
Like first thought. Yeah.
I mean, I always thought Seth Rollins. You know, he was a great seller.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, but obviously, you know, if you want to say you can. But
Well, so here's the thing. It's me.
yeah.
I wish there were more, but I'm glad you said Seth because sometimes I pass him and think of Kofi and some other people. Seth's fantastic. There was a time where I want to say out of like a 3-month run of Monday Night Raw to where we'd come in on Monday and they're like, it's you and Seth again. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, Vince loves it. I'm like, okay. So we got to a point to where we're like countering counters of counters from the week before and just going on. And I bypassed it a lot because he's in his own world crushing it right now. So there was a good 3, 4, 5 months to where not only was he on par with my selling, like the psychology, the matches, and the fun, like we knew he was going to win every one of those matches, but we would catch you on the back end because he would take a crazy DDT on his head and pogo stick like Rob Van Dam. You're like, maybe he got him. This is it. And so that really helped out, especially like every week when it's like, hey, Vince, it's like 9 in a row for Seth. If we're going to keep doing these, I got to get one, you know. And he's like, well, no, just have a good false finish. So. But so he did so well in that we could trick the crowd for a minute into thinking I'm going to steal one. So, yeah, Seth for sure. That's a great call.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Hello. Who are the best women sellers? I never hear any, like, if you said somebody, like, Trish is great, but she's, like, not wrestling right now. Liv, I think, is pretty good. Bianca? She's usually kicking everyone's ass. But, yeah, I get it, yeah. Would you say? I think Bayley's good. Yeah, she gets it. Yeah, she's good. Yeah. Yes. That's a good one. Oh, yeah, she's a killer. Yeah, that's good. Good job, everybody. Yeah. I have several more questions for all of you. What's your favorite road story? Today.
This is your busted open prep, where you ask everybody else their opinion, and you go, you know who I think is a great seller, and then you take that. I like it. Hello.
Hey, Nick. What would you say has been the most rewarding part of your career?
The money. No, it's... Yeah, thank you. It's these championships, because you can melt them down and they sell gold. Most rewarding part, it'll sound like this is going to be a corny thing, but like it's real. A little kid comes up to you at Cracker Barrel and is like, oh my God, it's you. And they like hug you or something. Like I don't even hug my family. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, well, I do, but I do like the gross face. But little kids, they're so freaked out and so excited to see me, some idiot who's a wrestling fan, like that got to live his dream. And it's the coolest thing in the world. Some little kid, a high five or a hug. And then a real creepy part, sadly, is when they come up to me, like a little kid. If you're watching from far away and you don't know what's happening, I'm waiting in line at Cracker Barrel, and a little 5-year-old kid comes up to me and goes, hey, what's up, like this? And you're like, no, you don't understand. It's not what you think. Like, so that happens a lot, which is really funny. But that's the coolest thing in the world, because when I was a little kid fan, you couldn't send a message on Twitter and hope that George the Animal Steel is going to write you back or something, or bump into him anywhere, because it was like they laid low and bounced around and traveled. So it was like to have that happen when you know if it happened to you, it'd be the coolest thing in the world. I got to go with that. Meeting little fans, stuff like that.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, Mr.
Hello.
Pikachu.
Are you here with a wedding lawyer?
No.
Okay.
No.
If you're serving me papers, I did not accept. We got engaged yesterday. I don't know if any of you guys saw.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you probably don't recognize. She was Pikachu yesterday, and forced my hand in marriage, and that's how it goes, I guess.
That is.
Yeah.
Welcome to the convention life.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
I do have.
I have one question. Who do you think you? No. What do you got?
So I've been a fan of you for a good minute since you've been in Spirit Squad. So I want to know, like, how did you really feel about being in that squad, knowing that like you came out being the top of all of them?
Well, so when you're in there, you don't know that that's the case. I was brand new. They told me I had short hair at the time. I was an amateur wrestling. I had just come from Kent State, breaking the all-time winning record. Yeah, guys, no. But yeah. So, and I loved Kurt Angle, and because I was a smaller guy and had no wrestling experience, because Kurt Angle was doing so awesome in WWE, they gave me a tryout just because he was so good. So when that happened, they're like, hey, we love and I started training and I was overdoing it. And they're like, you're learning so much. You're coming along so fast. We have nothing but great things to say. And don't get any tattoos. Keep your hair short. And we're probably going to have you where you're like a manager for your hero, Kurt Angle. And then you slowly become friends and attack. I'm like, what? This is the coolest thing ever. A couple weeks later, I get a call to be at TV. I'm like, here we go. Yeah. Me and Kurt. There we go. It's like that movie Sidekicks or whatever with Chuck Norris. And I get brought in a room with 4 other guys, and none of them are Kurt Angle. So the boss goes, we got something that's never been done before. I'm like, we can't all be Kurt Angle's friend. I don't know what we're going to do here. I'm like, we gonna kidnap Sting and put him in the trunk of a car? I don't know. And he goes, male cheerleaders. And not only does that sting, even when I say it right now, my heart went into my stomach because I was thinking, it's me and Kurt Angle. Wait, what is this? And it's like, no, instead of being an ass-kicking collegiate wrestler, you're going to be a pom-pom waving cheerleader who just gets wrung by the neck, like by Homer Simpson to Bart kind of thing. And so I was absolutely heartbroken at the time. I hated it so much. And it turns out most of it was they really liked Kenny at the time. He was a very young, awesome wrestling guy. And they wanted to have a group just to bring a little bit more out of him and then send him on his way. And for some reason, I feel like it was supposed to be a couple of months, but it ended up being a full year. We have a blast. Kenny's crushing it. We're all doing good enough. I'm pretty new, so I'm doing good enough to pass. And we're in the ring with, I can't even read the list. It's like Roddy Piper, Dusty Rhodes, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. Every weekend, it's some amazing group or 2 or 3 or whatever of like legends or some of the greatest of all time. So it ends up being about a 12-month run, and then it comes to an end, and we get sent back to OVW in a box. And I assume, because I'm not a legacy, I don't know how this works, I assume that I'm out of a job and I'm now done with WWE, but that wasn't the case. So afterwards, looking back, I go, this is awesome. In 6 or 8 months with some of the greatest of all time, I was in the ring with, so I think I got 3 years of training in 6 months. Right. So I think the reason I'm so good at my job is because I was in this goofy cheerleaders group, but we got to be with some of the best and learn like on the fly, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Ric Flair, in the ring every single night. So looking back, awesome, what a blessing. But at the time, I was ready to quit, yeah.
Thank you, and my name's Mahogany, by the way.
Mahogany, well, get ready to change that last name. Or at least hyphenate. It's 2024. Yeah.
Hyphenate it. So we have a little bit over 5 minutes, so we're going to try to get through all these questions here. So hello, what's your question?
Hello, it's nice to meet you. So my question is, what is your favorite match you've witnessed but not been in?
Ooh.
I want to think of a weird one that was like a live event or something, but the first one that pops in my head every time is the first time Undertaker and Shawn Michaels wrestled each other. At WrestleMania, I'm bad with the dates, but I was like, this is a special thing for my generation to watch. So I went out in the crowd for that, and I don't think I've ever seen anything better, ever. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Hello.
Hi, Dolph.
How are you?
Long time no see.
I know, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I have Ring cameras now, so just joking around. Well, I have them, but it's unrelated.
My question is, would you ever tag with your brother?
Yeah, my brother Ryan wrestles too, and the first and foremost, so many people thought I was going to AEW when I left WWE just to tag with Ryan, and I go, that's a really fun thing, and we're going to do it, but I got 5 years of kicking ass and being a world champ, so maybe 10. So let me see if I'm as good as I say I am with some other companies. Japan, TNA, I'll bounce around and see. And so far it's going really well. And I want to keep it going. But slowly but surely, I think this summer, my brother and I are tagging a couple different times. So we're going to set up some matches and a couple things now just to see how it goes. But long term, we're going to tag and wrestle with each other for 10 years down the road, probably, yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
He's ridden my coattails enough. He needs a little break for a minute, yeah.
Hello.
Hello. My question is, now that you're independent, who is someone that you are really willing to face and who you want to face?
Yeah, did you make the Cody Rhodes list? Did you make the check mark list?
Oh, I was just saying I don't watch. I don't know. I don't do a list. I didn't know who anybody was because I wasn't watching wrestling. But who do you have in mind that some people here, including myself, have not heard of on the independent scene, young up-and-comers?
I think you and Sammy Guevara would be a good match.
Guevara's a good one. He's still so young, right? He's here, right?
Yeah, he's here.
He's here. That's a good one. Some young go-getters would be good to test my old guy strength against and see how it goes.
And you have the same agent, so it should
Oh,
be
yeah,
easy.
so it'll be easy, yeah. We might be fighting in the back of this room later. So I haven't done a bunch of independents. I've only done one. But in the New Japan locker room, there's Zack Sabre Jr. I think is really good, and I would love to be in the ring with. Hikuleo was another one that I go, he's young, up and coming. There's something really special there. There's a million other ones. And I'm trying to think at TNA, the young kids that I've already been in the ring with, the Rascals, can do anything in the world. And I just assumed when I got in the ring, I was going to be the old-time guy, like, slow down, you guys don't know what you're doing. They were perfect. They're so good, and they're young. And Hammerstone, big jack dude at TNA, I go, there's something special with that guy, too. So I'm just getting into the independent stuff, but for the people I've seen actually perform while I'm in a locker room, those guys are crushing it, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Nice to meet you, Show Off.
It's trademarked by WWE, so don't. I'm just
I noticed you took a lot of inspiration from Shawn Michaels during your time in WWE. What would you say was your favorite moment from him or something from him that helped solidify your character during that time?
So it's weirdly, people think I took a bunch from Shawn Michaels. I didn't really watch him. I watched Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. But in WWE, I'll go back to the Spirit Squad when I was saying I was in there with DX a bunch. We got to a point to where I was very, very new still. But I said, hey, Shawn, is it okay if I call some stuff out there in this live event match? And he goes, sure, kid, if you know what the hell you're doing. I did not. And but I was so excited because I was getting comfortable with. I'm a year into wrestling, and I'm wrestling two of the greatest of all time. And I'm like, hey, mind if I call some shots here? And I was so nervous that I didn't say. So we like tied up, and he's like, well, what are we doing? I'm like, huh? What? And so I was so lost. I was just like, took him in a headlock and just took him over. I was like, I go, you think you can throw a drop kick, kid? And I thought that was the funniest thing in the fucking world. But and he goes, what'd you say? You think you can throw a drop kick, kid? He goes, kid, I'll show you. And he got out, kicked me in the face, and jumped on top of me. And I was like, thank you for that. I didn't pull a bunch of stuff from him. Maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, Michael Hayes told me, why don't you start stomping in the corner when you're wrestling as a heel to make everyone hate you that much more for doing a super kick.
Oh, yeah,
so
like tuning up the
I
band.
got to thank him for that. But other than that, I don't do any of his moves or take anything from him. I know we're both really good at selling, but being able to be that comfortable 1 year into wrestling to go, hey, you think I could call something? And him letting me, by the way. He had a good laugh and kicked me in the face, and DX hit us with chairs like 500 times in a row, so we're even. But it was being able to be in a ring like that and call something like that. It's a weird thing, but if you're in the business, it's like kind of cool that it happened. You know?
Okay. And a follow-up question: you think you could stood toe-to-toe with Shawn Michaels in his prime?
His prime? He would have been much more angrier than me. Do we have to, like, his prime, like, angry and maybe, like, throwing stuff backstage or, like?
No, I would say mainly, like, kind of like Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels kind of prime or way before that.
Well, here's what bums me out, because when I thought,
like
every couple of
betrayed
years.
Triple H.
I got you, yeah. Every couple of years, whoever you are, if you're a wrestler, you're like, now I got it, I'm good. And I'll go back and watch something and go, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. And then 10 years in, I was like, now I got it figured out. We crushed that. And I'll go back and it's so bad, like to me. So I got to a point where I was not ready for that by the time he retired. But afterwards, I want to say 3, 4, 5 years ago, I go, now I got it figured out. I'll go watch it back and find a bunch of stuff wrong with it. But 3, 4, 5 years ago, that's when I started going, I'm good at wrestling now for real. You learn more every day. That's fine. But it would have to be like, 98. And even then, you know what? I'll throw some stuff backstage too. Yeah, I think we can go. And it would be so cool to see someone selling like me as I do for everyone else's stuff. I want to see how that goes other than in a video game. So yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so
nice
much.
talking to you.
And that is our time. Thank you so much. Thank you all for hanging out with us here today.